What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning back in with us as we continue our conversation here with former athletic director of NC State, former basketball coach, Debbie Yow. So thank you so much again for tuning back in with us. And again, make sure, just as a reminder, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram. Give this video a like, and also to check out all of our great NC State content. So, and also make sure if you haven't checked out part 1, make sure to go check it out too. Don't want to miss out on any of that. So jumping right back in, Debbie. So one of the things that you mentioned on the last episodes is how great of a season Coach Doeren has had this season. And, one of the things I know that we've said multiple times is, especially when you're building a program, from the ground up, which Doeren definitely has had to do, it doesn't necessarily take off. It takes time to build on the pillars per se on the way up. And you really see that with Doeren, that since 2013 to now, that you see that steady increase of, the facilities getting better, recruits getting better, the on-field play getting better. So, would you kind of say that, that did you have that conversation with Doeren about building, how we're going to build this program, or did he kind of more tell it to you? Because obviously he was head coach beforehand in Illinois, but only was there for 2 years. So yeah. I'm sure it was probably a little bit of maybe even support from your hand, being a former head coach.
Well, Dave has a lot of confidence, and he had a lot of confidence in 2012 when we were interviewing. He made it clear to me at the interview, at the time when we actually talked, that he wanted the job. And he had heard a lot of good things about NC State and about the state of North Carolina. Jeff, his athletic director at Northern Illinois, who ultimately became athletic director for a while at East Carolina, had also worked at NC State evidently for 12 years. Wow. It might have been probably for more than one AD, but I think Todd Turner was AD at some point and he was here. And so he had said a lot of nice things about the state and living in the state. And so that was not a hard sell. I will say that I think Dave, like all coaches, you hope, has gotten better and better. You hope you do that also as an administrator, or whether you're an engineer or PhD candidate or whatever you're doing, you want to get better as you go along. I will tell you a funny thing he said to me one day years ago. He said, you told me it didn't snow much here, and it doesn't, but you never told me about the rain.
Really?
This is before we had the indoor facility. We built that since then.
Yeah. That's right.
I got it one Sunday morning and told my husband I was going to football practice, and it was like a monsoon outside. And he said it was early spring. We were in in spring ball, and he said, "Why?" And I said, "It's just it's so horrible out there, and I know they're out there. I can go today, and I'll just it's kind of like a solidarity thing. I just need to show up and be there." And it was miserable. I came home and said to him, we have donors who are interested, and if they decide they can help fund this, we need to get the indoor built. This is not even safe for them to be out in this kind of weather, given the contact sport that they're involved in. So that was a proud moment, I think, for both of us when the indoor was built and finished, and that we started seeing anytime it rained from then on out. We weren't talking about whether or not it was going to be rain and lightning or rain without lightning or, what to do. We just knew we'd go to the indoor. So I'm grateful to the donors who made that a reality for NC State.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that, I think in a more broader picture, we've talked in the last episode with the interview that how many good things are happening all across the program. Like we mentioned, women's cross country, women's tennis, obviously women's basketball, and the swimming program. What excites you the most about when you look at NC State athletics right now as like a fan to a degree, or even someone who's been invested obviously heavily? What excites you the most if you had to pick something?
Well, I think it's what we have been talking about, which is generally across the board level of excellence and raising the overall profile. There was a really neat guy who's a donor, longtime Wolfpack Club member, and early in my tenure as AD, wrote me and said, "Hey, I've read some of the stuff you said about wanting to do better across the board in all the sports, and I'm just writing to tell you I don't care." He said, "I only care about football and men's basketball, and that's it. I don't care."
Yep.
And I said, "Okay." He emailed me, and I emailed back, and I said, "That's you're right, your prerogative. We're going to agree to disagree, because I don't think we build a culture by waiting on these two sports."
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
If they get there first, awesome. If they don't, let's celebrate who does, and let's all keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So the years passed, several years passed, and one day, out of the blue, I got an email from the same guy.
Uh-oh.
And he said, "Hey, I just saw today that cheerleading won the all-girls cheerleading championship nationally.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do we get director's cut points for that?" And so I wrote him back and said, "No, we don't get any points for that, but I'm so proud of you."
That's awesome.
You should say, "I thought you only care about football and basketball."
Yeah. That's still his primary.
Sure.
But it's obvious that he's had a shift in understanding the dynamics of the culture building. And I think that, I don't have any much to say about it, because I can't. It would not be appropriate. But we do need to. We will eventually settle on the NCAA issue that we faced in men's basketball, and we haven't talked about Coach Keats.
No.
Just know that he has a terrific work ethic and a way with people, including recruits and athletes. But it has been a load for him to face that. When you recruit, it can be brutal, as you know.
Yeah.
And certainly people have used that against us. So I'm looking forward to, that we need to have closure. It's been over 4 years since we were told that there might be an issue. And it's been a long, long time. But I'm respectful of not saying anything past that, because that's for the chancellor and for AD Corrigan to deal with now. And I support Boo. He's our AD. We have one AD, and his name is not Debbie.
Right.
His name is Boo.
Yep.
Actually, his name is Eugene.
Correct.
Right.
Nickname.
And nickname Boo, and we need to be as supportive as possible.
Absolutely.
Because he's our leader, and it matters. We want to continue to improve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wanted to ask kind of right into that, what your relationship with him is like.
We've only met once. We met the first year he was hired in May of that year. We had breakfast together, and that's the only time we've ever met. And I've pretty much stayed out of the way. I think one of you said earlier, you're now kind of a fan, and I am. Very much so. Although I always kind of weigh kind of what I'm going to say. There are a lot of things I would like to say on Twitter I don't say.
Sure.
Because I can't. I know that I am a fan.
Yes.
But then again, I need to be careful. So if I have somebody from Chapel Hill that comes over on my timeline, I'm like, why are they doing that? Go back. But there are some things I could have said I didn't say. And that's, I just don't want to create any additional unwarranted or unneeded issues, even though it would all be kind of in fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough. Yeah. And Debbie, one thing too, that I think, that you can say that Boo kind of had a trial by fire at NC State. And I think that, he went through a situation I would describe that probably is probably one of the biggest tests I could think of for an athletic director. And that was 6 months in with the College World Series, which thinking to that event and really, because how many fans, how many people were looking to him for support, like, what's going on. And so, one thing too here, I mean, because obviously a lot of people were supportive, some were critical. And, the one thing which I, am not going to ask is necessarily like, what was he thinking, but just more of, can you kind of speak to us as fans of kind of like, what was kind of, I guess, like, what was he going through, like, just kind of maybe put us into the head of Boo Corrigan during that moment, just kind of help us understand, how insanely difficult that was. I'm sure he wasn't sleeping, I mean, I'm sure his phone was ringing off the hook 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so it's something that we've had a tough time kind of envisioning.
Yeah. I don't want to even attempt to try to speak for him.
Sure.
For what he might have been going through. Obviously, it wasn't pleasant. I was, once I got up it was a Saturday morning, I think is when we found out. And I'm tearing through, just looking at NCAA safety and health guidelines. I'm looking.
Love it.
You're like, what is this? How did this happen? Why are you doing this to us?
Yes.
Where is it written that this
Where's
has
the
to
fine
be this
print?
way?
Yeah.
Where's the fine print, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. I think that, everybody in their leadership, they do have different styles, and they do. I made the point on Twitter that morning when people were so upset. I just said, we don't know everything, and we don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably
Yes.
don't know today, to be candid with you, everything that transpired. So it's really hard to evaluate a situation, I think, when you don't have all of the information. I think that's probably the best place to leave it.
Sure.
And I know everybody was, what was the neatest part, if there is such a thing as a neat part in all of that, is the people that came out to Doak to welcome the team
It was
home
special.
when Elliott spoke, and it was pretty awesome, guys.
It was amazing.
That's rare, and that really is a reflection of the NC State fans.
Right.
It is. They're loyal to the end, and I don't believe in NC State. I can't say that on here, but
Stuff.
I don't
Stuff.
stuff. Thank you. I don't believe in NC State, and I don't. And I think we're gradually breaking through those kinds of things. Although, like, someone might say, well, so Manny goes down with another shoulder injury and you don't believe in it, and now we're missing the most dominant center in the ACC.
Right.
Yeah, I still don't, even though that did happen, and Coach Keats is without his center. And not just a center, I mean, the center. I mean, one of the best, arguably one of the best in the ACC. So that changes. It has to change game planning, and puts more burden on the others to try to pick up the slack. Very, very challenging. But I still don't believe in NC State stuff. No, I don't.
I think if you saw the end of that UNC football game, I don't think you can after that.
Thank you, Michael.
It's just an excuse for people to blame stuff when they're bad. It's, here we go again. Yeah, but you just won a national championship in women's cross country. You won a Final Four in women's tennis, and heck, you want to talk about Manny Bates? Like, Duana has stepped up big time. Is that NC State stuff? So
right. He really has.
Yeah.
That part's very, very encouraging. And it's going to be one game at a time, guys. There's no other way to look at it, right? Because Manny's not going to be able to come in and save the day. So I have faith in Coach Keats, and I really enjoyed the process of interviewing him with the people that were on the search committee and making the call to the chancellor and recommending that he be hired and having that approved. And I still believe in him. I do.
Okay, great.
So, but it would be nice for him to be able to have the other situation off his plate and not have it hanging out there still. So,
absolutely,
hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
My last question, switching gears a little bit. One of the biggest changes in college athletics since you left is the NIL, the name, image, and likeness. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that and how you see that impacting the future of college athletics.
Well, if you've noticed lately, it is almost impossible to keep up with what's happening in intercollegiate athletics now. It's like moment to moment, day to day. just today, what happened today? Well, FSU hired an AD, and it's the head of their fundraisers for I can't remember if it was I don't know if it's for athletics for the university. I think it's for athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And then the AD at Louisville has resigned, and the president of Louisville has gone to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the way it goes. It's almost hour by hour. So there's NIL, and there's what happened 2 weeks ago. A man who used to be my head coach in waiting at Maryland, James Franklin, who's head coach at Penn State, got a deal for 10 years, $7 million per year. Yes. And I remember on the day it happened, and it was about the same day that the Michigan State football coach got his deal for 10 years. I remember on that day, I thought these are two of the biggest deals. These are, these to reset the bar here.
Yeah.
1 week later, LSU and Oklahoma,
USC,
and USC,
Oklahoma, USC, Notre Dame,
and suddenly, I mean, really, the Penn State deal looks like a bargain. Of course, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
It's so those things that are happening are all as important as NIL, and you will see eventually. I mean, it's inevitable. I don't know what form it'll come, but there will be congressional intervention of some type into intercollegiate athletics. Y'all wouldn't know this, but back in 1991, Tom McMillan was a representative, House of Representatives, and tried to push through some legislation that would give colleges the opportunity to set some limits on coaching compensation. And at that time, there was no appetite in Congress to do that.
Yeah.
When you look at where we are today, it looks even more brilliant to have brought that to their attention in 1991. They probably have an appetite for it now. I don't know if that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
But they are going to get into this in some form or fashion. The NIL needed to happen. I think that part of what's misunderstood about NIL is that student athletes who are on Pell Grant, as an example, because they've demonstrated need, and that Pell Grant never have, because it's a grant, you never have to pay it back.
Sure.
And I'm sure they're getting advised, but they need to be advised, because you could earn there could be the point where you earn so much money on your NIL, you lose your grant, you lose your Pell Grant. The Pell Grant's like $8,000 a year, just for the fall and the spring semesters. I don't think that counts the summer. So they just need to be, student athletes just need to be well educated on what they're doing, so they don't inadvertently give up things. Oh, and they're going to get taxed.
True.
As far as I know. And that'll be a new experience.
It'll be an adult experience.
It'll be a very adult experience. But I do believe it needed to happen.
Absolutely. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout Eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love, so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I'm just thinking about that, like how you mentioned how it was impactful. I just think about how many players are going to we're clamoring for that to a degree, and how does that influence it in recruiting at all, or how does that work?
Yeah. Yes, it will. And I think the NCAA has already said they're looking at several schools that they've received calls from them, and when they're, doing something that they shouldn't be doing related to this. And that would be inevitable, would it not?
Sure.
I'm worried about the gambling aspect, which is a new thing for college athletics as well. So add that to the mix in the last couple of years, along with COVID and NIL and all the coaching compensation. And I'm waiting. I mean, is it not inevitable that we will one day pick up? I start to say pick up the paper. No one's picking up the paper. I don't have the paper. Go on the internet,
reading Twitter,
and read that. And read that that there's been a gambling scandal. There's been a point shaving situation.
Right.
I just don't know how that can not happen. And so most ADs will be like, just don't happen at my place.
Sure.
But there are limits to what an AD can control. So you educate and you are clear that you're not doing it with a wink and a nod, that you really mean it, and then expect people to follow through. And if they don't, you have to terminate individuals. You can't keep people like that in your program.
Well,
absolutely.
So I'm thinking like in the last few questions kind of go a little bit just kind of more quicker, just more off the cuff kind of questions. But I guess we tend to talk about this earlier in the last episode. But how much different is it being a fan than it is being an AD, just in general? Like, is it like the personal experience of it? Do you feel the less stress involved? You can just totally enjoy it. Do you feel the more of the fandom side when they're irritated about a call or a play, or has it always been there since you are a former player and you are a former coach?
I find it very frustrating. I can't do what I would normally do. I can't call the ACC office. I can't.
I got them on speed dial.
I can't get to the people that I used to be able to get to, and appropriately so, I might add, to ask the questions I want to ask or make the complaint I want to make. I find being a fan at times very frustrating. So I have a different level of personal appreciation for fandom now. And remember, I was in the enterprise, as I call it, for 44 years. So I didn't have any frame of reference for what this is.
Sure. Right. It's a totally different creature.
It is.
It's tough.
Yeah,
being a fan, and really meaning you really care. It's tough because you see all kinds of things that you want to understand why. That when I came to NC State, we had the little hotline thing, the email we had. You could call and complain about anything, or you could write.
Oh boy!
And we did have people assigned to this, and we did deal with it. And I'm more glad now than I appreciate it more now than I did when we did it, because I now get in a very personal way what it really feels like to not be able to get an answer to a question that you should be able to answer. Just answer the question. And that's the best you can do as an AD is create a mechanism for people to be able to ask those questions, or in the times when you can't answer them, and there are times you can't, guys, depending on the nature of the subject. You just say, I can't today. I'm hopeful, in the next couple of weeks, or the next couple of months, or whatever, I'll be able to, but it would be out of place for me to be able to do that. I shouldn't be doing that now.
Right.
I've always maintained that, and I've gotten some, I've gotten criticism. Of course, I've gotten criticism. Good Lord, it's a public it's a public position, and people are passionate about. Everybody's passionate about their school.
Yes,
but I think to be effective as an AD, one of the things that helps, it's not the only thing, it's just one thing, is to be able to put that into context and understand that there are days when you get the worst of someone because they're just so upset. I've had people be really upset and then either call back later or email later and say, I can't believe I said that to you last night. I had been drinking and I shouldn't really email you.
Sleep on it.
After I've been drinking. I need to wait until the next day.
Absolutely.
But it just helps to I try not to take it too personally. There are limitations. Somebody starts like cursing like crazy or calling me names. That's it. It's over.
Sure.
You're going to get blocked. That kind of
not
thing.
Not afraid to use it.
Absolutely not. So, but other than that, people they have we all have our best days and our worst days and everything in between. And sometimes people just aren't at their best and they're upset. And they won't understand why that official tossed out two icons of NC State athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
let's not go there.
And so did I. And so we pursued it, and I would say even today, appropriately so, was the right thing to do. We should not have done anything less.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
And it took 5 days, and we finally got a reprimand for the official.
There you go.
That's the least of
I love it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bravo. Absolutely.
We get those little victories.
We appreciate that as fans. Absolutely.
Those things matter in life.
Oh, goodness. I left my file on that with Tim. Oh, gosh. Tim's going to kill me. I'm forgetting his name.
Peeler?
Y'all know Tim. Yeah, Tim Peeler's like our historian. Yeah. He's the unofficial historian.
He was commenting on our Twitter account today, actually. So
yeah.
Yes.
Was it okay?
Yeah, he was just saying we did like a top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Okay. He's like, you've left 2 off of, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, he would know.
Sure.
He would know.
Yeah.
So
He would know.
I left him my Carl Hess file.
Nice big file.
It's a big file. There are like 167 emails in it.
Oh my!
I love it.
Show you my collection.
This is amazing.
I don't. It was a real thing that happened, and neither one of the guys, to the best of my knowledge, did or said anything that deserved that. So yes, it was worth it.
So one last fun question I wanted to ask, obviously at NC State we've been lucky enough to have many different logos, that I think all fans have a little bit of love for each of them. And, like one for me specifically I love is like the slobbering wolf. But obviously now we've moved to the Tuffy logo off of the Block S. But even to, even have obviously the famous diamond logo Dick Sheridan brought along to us, which a lot of fans love. So do you have a preference at all? Like, do you prefer one versus the other?
Well, I like them all. But I really, from an art perspective, I really like the diamond.
Yes.
I do like the diamond from when Coach Sheridan was here.
That makes us happy inside.
I like that one a lot.
Yes.
But we all have our favorites, and I will tell you that I was not sure about moving off the Block S to Tuffy.
Yes.
But my staff just said to me, "Aren't you tired of walking through the airport with our gear on and someone stop you and say, 'Oh, you went to Stanford?'"
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Stanford. This is NC State. Oh, you went to Syracuse? No, didn't go to Syracuse. I got that. Stanford got so annoyed with this. They put they put the tree in their S.
Tree, yeah.
They built the tree into.
Were they getting that? Oh, you went to NC State or Syracuse?
They were getting some, yes.
Wow. I didn't know
so
that.
they just wanted the differentiate. The few friends I have that went to Stanford, but they were getting some, so they modified theirs. But even though it was because I do like the Block S too, but I see the value of having Tuffy. No one else is using
it's
Tuffy.
distinguishable.
Nope.
He is. In fact, Tuffy, Tuffy's he's my scresavers on my phone.
There you go.
He's my screensaver.
Nice.
I just love that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the pup. Yeah.
The puppy, and the premature death of Tuffy too was a tough day.
Yes.
That should not have happened. He was only like 4.
But
evidently he had a heart issue.
Yes.
So, and then of course Tuffy won. There's still the mystery, guys, that I believe that dog was poisoned. We don't,
Well, I didn't even know that.
Tuffy,
really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Tuffy 1 was actually a girl, but
that's okay.
I don't know that we talked about that much, but, this is a Tamascan.
Yes. Layton's mind is blown right now.
My mind is blown.
I did talk to Fred Demarest about Tuffy 1. When Tuffy 1 passed, there were some suspicious things about that death.
Interesting.
People do cruel things. Not the owners of the dog. Other people can you can poison a dog, and unless you're going to do like an autopsy or whatever.
Wow.
You would never know.
Goodness.
So
God.
Was there any
Well,
ram DNA in that poison? I'm joking.
I hope not. Again,
That's a terrible joke, but a terrible joke.
But thank you so much again, Debbie. Again, I know obviously, unfortunately, we couldn't necessarily end on the happiest note, but again, I mean, that was definitely the most mind blowing moment for sure.
Hold on,
well,
ask one quick question. Quick question.
Y'all could do an entire show on this if you can go do some research and help us find out what really happened.
I think just a quick question,
because I don't think we know even to this day.
Yeah. I guess that's just a general brief question. Not to be too long, but do you miss being an AD at all?
The part I miss the collaboration with the staff on a day-to-day basis and the problem solving and kind of piling into the office and talking about it. I miss that part. Yeah. And you already know the other part I miss, which is I miss being able to go find out why things are the way they are or whatever, because, that would certainly be inappropriate. But it has given me time to do other things.
It's great.
I love it.
It has.
That's great,
man.
And so there's also a wonderful side to that. And so, and it was time.
Sure.
Amen.
So it's all good. It's all good.
Well, we're just so glad that we still have you around, and I know you still go to state events, pretty often or time to time. And so, but thank you so much again for joining us, Debbie. Really do appreciate your time. I think this has been an amazing interview. And again, would love to have you back sometime whenever your schedule allows. But thank you so much again.
Well, I've enjoyed it, guys, and getting to know you better after watching you tweet, and I really understand what the heck is going on and what Tuffy Talk is. I love the name. I think that's great.
It's a great name.
And then when we were not on air, I learned about the amazing 2 wives and girlfriend.
There you go. So she did get it on camera.
It appears and it sounds as though you're all in over your heads.
Yes.
Actually.
They're much smarter than us.
In a good way.
Much smarter than
us. In a good way.
Yeah.
Well, and especially too, because when Macon and I started, Macon's wife came up with the logo, and my wife came up with the name. So literally all this was not us.
We're just here.
Funny.
They run the show.
We're just here running.
So what you're saying to me is they did figure out a way to get you out of the house.
Yes.
They've done something, but that's okay. but thank you all so much again for tuning in. I hope that you really enjoyed this interview as much as we did. But again, please, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new NC State content. Check out all of our great NC State content if you haven't already, and give this video a like. Check out all of our, also to give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you all so much again for tuning us. And hey, just as a reminder again, it's always a great day to be NC State fan. I think that Debbie would 100% agree with that as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, go Pack, y'all.